everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you for tuning in. My name is Velile. I am a lifestyle blogger from South Africa. If you're new on the channel, you are very much welcome, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment on this video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today is going to be a very good discussion. Today's video is very interesting because it's going to be very educational. I'm just giving you guys an insight of how you can be able to acquire the right land that is good for your own need when you go to the rural areas, and how can you maneuver around in the rural areas to be able to get what you really want and deserve. Guys, YouTube has done something so great for us who need support on our channels. They have also put something called super thanks, which is down below the video. You'll see just next to the share button, where you can be able to contribute to us as YouTubers who are going out there and creating content. You can support my channel because I need so much support now that the petrol in South Africa has gone up, and also, you know, servicing the car that I drive, because I can't go to the rural areas driving a small car. Sometimes I have to climb mountains and hills so that I can be able to explore the rest of the villages that I explore. So moving on. Alright, moving on, guys. To those who are new, I just want to remind you that on this channel we talk about everything lifestyle, from home decor, home living to rural development in South Africa. I showcase the beautiful rural areas of South Africa, the beautiful homes that people are building in the rural areas, and I showcase the developments that are happening in the rural areas, including infrastructure development and the economy. And also, you know, we take into farming and how can people acquire land in the rural areas of South Africa, especially tribal land. And on this particular video, I'm going to talk to you about how can you go about to make sure that you acquire the right land at the right place and you don't regret it at the end of the day. It is truly an answer to all the questions that people have been asking me about acquiring land in the rural areas. Like any other project that you are trying to start and trying to implement and trying to be able to get results out of, you have to put all your efforts in order to get what you really want and what you deserve. But right now, I'm also going to give you just a glimpse of what you can be able to do to be able to get the right land. Because when I'm talking about the right land, that means the right land to be able to live, the right land to be able to do business, the right land to be able to plow and become a farmer, whether it's subsistence farming or any kind of farming. But you have to have knowledge of how do you maneuver around in the villages, because some other people are coming from the cities and they do not have an understanding of how the village people work and how our chiefs work. So sometimes you'll end up finding yourself having to talk to the wrong people in the municipality buildings, and finding yourself having to pay a lot of money to people that do not deserve your money, because sometimes what you pay to those people is not what you'll even contribute when you are trying to acquire land in the rural areas. It's very little money that you have to put in when you are talking directly to the chief. So I want to be able to educate you and enlighten you so that you won't find yourself regretting what areas are the best areas for you to be able to go and try to acquire land. So that is the best question, because it will be your starting point on trying to figure out what is at your disposal, what is available for you around the country. Because there are some other areas that are so beautiful, but probably they are not available to you. So that will be the starting point to search around the country and find out what is there. How are the people living their lives in that village before you can even say I'm moving into that village just because you saw that village on these YouTube pages. Once you have identified the village that you are interested in, the best thing is to align your desires and your aspirations and your needs to the choices that you are making now. Moving into that village, you need to assess how people are living, how people are building their own homes. Are people around still into agriculture and farming? Are they still having interest? Is there some kind of community around in that village? You can tell the cleanliness of the village and how people are just really trying to make sure that they preserve the outlook of the whole village and making sure that it is always presentable to people who are coming around. For example, there are people who are looking for a peace of mind, who want to live somewhere away from so many people and being able to farm, being able to live with their children in a very quiet place where there is not a lot happening around them. So if you're looking for something like that, you also have to know which areas you can look at. KwaZulu-Natal is very famous for the villages or the rural areas that are still very much out in the outskirts. They are not close to the cities, and they can be able to offer you a whole lot of peace of mind. So I'm trying to make sure now you have a great understanding of your choices, that your choices are very wide, and South African rural areas are big. There are other rural areas where it's very difficult, even if you are South African, if you are not of that village origin, you are unable to acquire land. But there are some others that you can acquire land. Even if you are coming from the east-west part of South Africa, you will be able to acquire land if you want land in that area, as long as it is sitting on tribal land in the rural areas of South Africa and you are South African. Whether you like it or not, face-to-face conversations are still one of the most important things that we do in the rural areas. If you want to have a communication with somebody and you want your voice to be heard, the best way is to do it face-to-face. Because if you think you're just going to call and say, oh, I would like to acquire land in your village and I am so and so, I live somewhere in the city in Johannesburg and I want to come and acquire land, how much is it? Well, you're asking how much is it. That's the first wrong thing to ask for, because that's not how you approach it. Acquiring land is not for sale. It's really not for sale. So when you are talking to a village chief, you are talking as a person who wants to acquire land, and you know that it is not for sale. So you're not supposed to be able to pay a large amount to be able to acquire that land. So when you are talking to him face to face, he's able to understand that you do understand how it is done. But when you are doing it over the phone, there's a chance that you're going to be ripped off. And you're basically already starting to put money into it because you are asking how much it is. So that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to go to a village, visit the village, stay around the village for a weekend or something, get to know the people, get to see what's happening around the village, and get to talk to people and understand everything that is happening around that village. See how people are living in the village, and then also talk to the chief. By the time you're talking to the chief, you'll really establish the fact that the chief is very down to earth. He's not looking for anything much from you, but looking for you to be able to be one of the people who are going to come in, be able to help also in the village. So sometimes we really want to know what you can offer the village also, so that the village can grow. Not in a commercial sense, but also as a human being. How can you be able to help? There are people, there are orphans in the village, there are people who are unemployed. If you are going to come in and farm, how are you going to be able to help the village? And how can you put the village as a community together so that they can really strive and make something better for everybody else in the village? So those are the important things. So when you come into the village and you're starting to put money and showing how much money do you have, then you are just really approaching this whole thing in the wrong way. There are also people who have asked me a lot of questions when it comes to schools. What about the schools, the best schools and the good schools around in the rural areas in South Africa? We are in the process of developing. What you find in the rural areas as best schools are the boarding schools, where most of the people who are either living in the cities take their children so that they can get discipline. I'm one of those people who went to a missionary boarding school back in the days, and it was located in the rural areas. On those boarding schools, you find a lot of kids who are not coming from the village, they come from the cities. their parents bring them into those boarding schools so that they can learn discipline. Those schools are there. They are a little bit expensive. They are not your regular schools where you take the kid, like primary schools. But in the villages, there are a lot of schools where you can take your child to learn the very same way as other children in South Africa are learning. If you have a special or a certain lifestyle that you want to live in the village, and you prefer your kids to go and learn in a certain way, whether in a private school, then you can take your children to a private boarding school while you are living in the rural areas. Or else you can go and find a village that is closer to a boarding school. For example, if you are going to a village that is closer to Pietermaritzburg, then you will take your kids to Michael House, for example, or to Hilton College, something like that. You have also so many options of how you can be able to balance between your better living lifestyle and also the village life for your peace of mind. Also, what you need to understand is that some other villages are very particular. They even ask you for a house plan just to show them how you're going to build your house, because they just want to maintain a certain standard. And then also, when you are looking for a house up on top of the hill in the outskirts where you can be able to live just by yourself and have that kind of peace of mind and be surrounded by nature, there are areas that offer something like that. You just need to find them. KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and some of Mpumalanga offers things like that. Also, if you are seeking on acquiring land, on tribal land for farming purposes, you must know that there is a chance that you'll be farming on a small scale, either for subsistence farming, just to make sure that you maintain yourself and your family, and then also sell a little bit. That is possible. But also there are chances that if you want to farm on a bigger scale, you might have to be on a cooperative with your own fellow villagers, and then you can just put crops together and then try and divide and sell in the markets together. That is possible. People are doing that. If you are seeking at starting an Airbnb or an accommodation of some kind, and you're looking at living and staying closer to the sea, then there are also rules and regulations. Acquiring tribal land on those areas may have some kind of very, very big expectations, and you might be asked for so many other things. So you must consider that too. Plots in the rural areas that are closer to the tropical areas, for example, and still part of rural areas, sometimes you do have to pay money, and the municipality has somehow have control of how the chiefs are really operating around in that area. So you'll find that there's a lot of influence that comes from the municipality, because those areas now are closer to the tourist attraction areas, and sometimes you do have to pay money. And others are offering some kind of title deeds, but sometimes they are not title deeds. It's just a slip that proves that the plot that you have bought belongs to you and it is owned by you. It's something that you can take to court if there are any problems. So you do find rural areas like that in South Africa, and still sitting on tribal land. So find a location, find a village, find out who the chief is, visit the location, explore, research, and find answers before you can even say, I want to go and buy land, because you're not buying land, you are acquiring land. It is your ancestral land. I'm still talking to South Africans who are looking at moving from the cities to go and acquire land, their ancestral land in the rural areas. I'm not talking to people who are coming from outside of the country who are looking at buying land in our land. There are laws when it regards to that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you are looking at starting a business in the rural areas, for example, and you are not from South Africa, and you are looking at a potential of living around there and be able to have business around there, there are structures that you have to go through, from the Home Affairs to any international related structures that can provide you with the right papers to be able to operate and do all of that. But right now, I'm still trying to talk to the South Africans who are looking at leaving the cities to go and make a better life for themselves and their families in the rural areas. you have to do research, you have to go to that area, you have to meet with people and ask questions, and you have to go and talk to the right people. It is as simple as that. So if you're looking for land and you want to be able to get the land in the rural areas, especially on tribal land, that is going to benefit your needs and your family needs or your business needs, please make sure you do your own research. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you again for taking me this far with this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment, and also please donate to my channel by just clicking on the super thanks, which is just next to the share button down below on the video, and then you can contribute any amount that you can contribute. I'll be very happy because it helps me with petrol and servicing my car. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, you've been great. I'll see you guys later.